Yes, that was longer than usual. Good morning, good afternoon, good night, wherever time it is that you're watching us. My name is David Jacobson. I am with Jim Barry.
Hello.
Hello. And you are watching Pcarmarket Live. It's been a while, Jim, since we did a show. And I think it is very appropriate that we're doing this the last week of the year to do a recap.
Yeah.
Now, we're not going to recap all the cars.
No.
We'll be here for weeks and weeks and weeks, but we will talk about some of the market, what's happening right now. Now, since we've done this, I think the last show we did was about the hot rods, yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, with Mark.
With Mark?
Yeah, Zerlin.
Oh, that's right. Mark Zerlin was on. That's right. And that was a great show. And I will tell you this, that in retrospect now, that when I go back and watch that, we've sold many hot rods backdates since then. And I will tell you that we kind of nailed it. You know, we don't always do that. The market's kind of fickle and weird, and it kind of makes you look silly once in a while.
Yeah.
But that was pretty accurate, you know, as far as valuations and with the different motors and builds and what kind of to expect. But and I hope some of you found that valuable as well. But what we're going to try to do today is we're going to try to touch base on the Porsche market, you know, some different segments, some of the results, also some of the opportunities that are provided, right? But also, we're going to touch a little bit on BMW, a little bit on the other market. One of the things that we can probably set as a baseline here, because I think it's a pretty good idea to do that, is the fact that new cars are the barometer for really everything that happens in the used car market, right?
The later model used cars, at least, yeah.
The later model used cars, yeah. Right.
Not
right.
classics.
But I don't know. They're not directly connected, as closely connected, but that does also just flow down into the classics as well, I believe. Let's talk about that for a little bit. Excuse me. So one of the things that we've seen over the last probably year and a half is a big change as far as the values of new cars. Now, the new car values, that cars that are selling for $50,000 over, $80,000 over, $100,000 or even more, they are the ones that are affecting, you know, like we had said, the used cars.
Yeah.
But we also know that a lot of the used cars, maybe like the classics, have their own ecosystem, right? And they kind of are affected by different things that we'll talk about as well. Right. So one of the things that we look at trends. All right. So what are we seeing right now as far as new cars? Like, we can tell you that a year ago, 6 months ago, even 4 months ago was quite different than it is right now. Right.
Yeah, I think everyone's coming to their senses. And, you know, listen, there are cars like GT cars and Lamborghinis and Ferraris that, you know, you could make an argument it's the end of an era, everything's going electric, so they'll be coveted and sought after. But like when people are paying $250,000 for some electric Hummer, that is probably going to be in 10 years, you know, on everybody's local Craigslist for $12,000. That's a little crazy.
Yeah.
You know
I mean, just to think about that for a second, how wild and crazy that this world is. You know, I actually sit here sometimes and I say that, is this the beginning of the end? I just can't even understand the values when you look at those Hummers that were selling for as much as what?
Oh, they came out like $250 people were paying with an MSRP of $110.
$110,000 MSRP on
and
a
we're down
Hummer.
to like $160, $170 now, maybe $175. So even though that's like $50,000-$60,000 over sticker, it's still you know, you're talking $70,000 off the initial prices, which was only a few short months ago.
Wow. Can you imagine?
No.
Can you imagine?
And they're all white. There's not even any variety.
Yeah.
Every single one is white.
Well, it's like an appliance.
I was going to say, took the word right out of my mouth. It's an appliance.
It's an appliance. And normally, if you could put an appliance in your kitchen, it's going to either be one of three colors, right? It's either black, chrome,
Yeah. But you know what the difference is?
White.
Typically, you're never reselling any kitchen appliance.
Well,
you know?
you're probably not going to resell.
You're writing that off as a total loss. So I hope people who bought those Hummers are thinking of it that way.
Well, I'm going to believe. I'm going to think that the people that spent $100,000 over on a Hummer don't care about the $100,000, right? Right?
I don't know.
Is any hardworking person that puts their money aside, their pennies aside, going to spend $100,000 over MSRP for a Hummer?
A sane one and a smart one? No. But, maybe if you sold a bill of goods, I don't know.
Yeah, but you got what? That it's going to go up in value.
Well, who knows? Who knows what people are thinking? I think it's nuts.
This is a silly conversation, but unfortunately, it depicts reality of the world we live in. Okay, so this is what we're talking about. We're talking about look at the Rivian, we're looking at the Hummer, we're looking at even the Bronco, right? I mean, we're going to talk about that later, but I'll bring it up now. A Bronco selling for $40,000 or $50,000 over MSRP. Now, how much of this is supply the supply chain,
Yeah.
and how much of this is just insanity. I guess it's a combination of both. Listen, if you can't find something, right, supply and demand is really at the root of everything. If there's if something is plentiful, it's gonna be a lower price. So there's a lot there, and as that changes, the prices will come down, and we're seeing that now, right?
Yeah, I think the only people buying right now are the people that really need to make a purchase. You know what I mean? The people who want to make a purchase, like we talked about this, like, you know, you're not replacing your Raptor because it's like, why are you going to pay 30 over sticker? When things come normal, you'll get a new one. You know, yours is fine for now.
I'm crazy, but I'm not that crazy. Okay, yeah, you're not getting me to spend $50,000 over on a Raptor. I'm sorry. All right. Although I think the new ones are really nice. They made some changes, and I dig the Bronco Raptor, Bronco Raptor. I think it's awesome. I think it's really nice. I've never seen a vehicle that looks so different in its base model to its high model.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't even believe it's the same truck. When you look at the badass, what is it called?
Yeah, the badass.
The badass Badlands.
No, the Badlands.
The Badlands.
Yeah.
Badlands, and
well, that's that Sasquatch package with the bigger tires that really changes it.
They're really trying with these names. Huh?
Yeah. But, you know, if you look at the basic Bronco, you know, for about 50 grand, that's a great value if you get that at sticker. That's a great value. You know, the not the Raptor one, but just for someone who wants a nice.
Now this just shows you how crazy this world actually is. What a deal! A base Raptor. I mean, a base Bronco for
not base. No.
$50,000 for that little tiny.
No, but it's a good Wrangler alternative, and I like it. Yeah, it's cool.
I haven't driven one yet.
Yeah, it's.
Did you drive one?
No,
because I have to tell you, the Raptor, my F-150 Raptor, I love it. I love the way it drives. I love the way it feels. I've taken it on 300-mile trips. I've taken it around the block, and I think it's great. If that truck drives as good as, if the Bronco Raptor drives as good as the Raptor, then they killed it. Then it's worth MSRP, but surely not $50,000 over.
Yeah.
So I got it only because we could spend all day here. So how does this affect what's going on in the world over here? So, but there are examples that can buck the trends. So we know this. If a GT3 is selling for $100,000 over, or if a Touring is selling for $150,000 over, whatever it is, then what's going to happen with a 997 or 991, right?
The 991 is like the direct, you know, that's the, yeah. Because like what you said earlier is true. Like if a new Porsche becomes 500 grand, a 911 SC is not going to be 60 anymore, right? So what you said has merit to it, but the 991 directly rides the coattails with the 992, because you can see the 991s went up in the beginning of the year, and now that the 992s are getting to reality, the 991s went right back to where they were.
Totally understandable. Yeah, and I think everyone understands that. You know, I guess that old saying that high tide raises all boats is true here, with the exception of some things we'll talk about, but. Yeah, I mean, 992s go up 100 over MSRP. What is a GT3 991 going to go for? It's going to go for a premium, you know, at least for that while that car is up there. But then we have things that will buck that trend. So as the cars come down, as these 992s are coming close to MSRP now, and they are close to MSRP, no?
Oh, well, non-GT cars, I mean, if you're paying over MSRP, I think that you're really overpaying at this point.
Yeah, so you're actually the 992s, the Carreras, are selling for at or below MSRP in some cases.
Yeah, I see like a nice spec GTS. The most we were able to bring is like 10 over on a car with delivery miles right now. So, and I think we're a really good gauge on Porsche. Yeah, I mean, we're not leaving really any money on the table when it comes to Porsche. Yeah,
no doubt. And so basically, if these cars are selling, if Carreras are selling for at or below MSRP, and GT3s are selling close to MSRP now, right?
Well, I think
20 over?
Roughly, because, you know, spec is important. I think a winged car, 20, 25 over, a Touring, 30 to 50, you know? Unless it's like crazy spec.
Okay,
you know?
And that's now. That's a stamp. You got to stamp that now. This could change in 3 days. You know what I'm saying?
It could change tomorrow.
It could change tomorrow. In fact, it already changed while we're sitting
In fact,
here.
I saw a Touring no sale on BAT this weekend for like $260.
A Touring?
Yeah, but a no sale.
A no sale because the owners still want to hold out for the money, the sellers. Yeah. This is the dance that's happening right now. The people are asking the money, and some people have already established a reality to lower their prices, right? Yep. We're seeing bigger sell-through rates. Yeah. We're seeing lower reserves. We're seeing some good stuff happening.
Yeah, some sellers are really smart and on top of it, and they realize that it's not what they want, but it's going to probably not get better in the next 30 days. So, you know, now's the time to get realistic, and others are just looking in the rearview mirror in terms of the prices. They're still trying to get what you can get in June, and it's just not happening.
This is called personality economics, right? It really is. It's like somebody who has the car, who bought it here, the value is here, and it's headed here. Okay, and it's headed here. I mean, listen, I've been wrong, and I'm not. This is not gospel, but everything points to the fact. Forget the economy, which also could play a major role in here if it does go really bad. But it's just everything that we know about why prices are up is changing, so it's going to come down. And they're also silly, and it's happened before, not to this extreme, but we already know where it's going. So if somebody owns it here and the value is here, and this person is. There's some people, the personality economics, they're going to say, I want what the cars were selling for 2 months ago. I want to hold out for it. And then they come back 2 months from now, not necessarily to us, but whatever, and now they're asking this price because they need to move it at that point.
Yeah, and listen, that's why we exist. It's just to educate people. You know, some people think we're egging them on to sell the cars for less money. We're not. We're just trying to help.
Yeah.
You know, we're kind of like, you know, what do you call it, a conductor? You know, if everyone's reading from a different book in an orchestra, it's going to sound terrible.
That's
you know,
right.
And that's the sellers are on this page, the buyers are on this page, and there's just chaos.
Yeah, and what's amazing, and take it from us, you know, one of the things that we could tell you is these discussions 6 months ago, they were different than they were 4 months ago, they were different than they were 2 months ago, and they're different than they are today, is people understanding and now seeing the changes. There are dealers or individuals selling cars who are saying to us, by the way, I already know the market's very difficult right now, and I want to sell the car. And they're willing to adjust their reserves. So it's what it is. So the point is that it's kind of... and
I think what you say a lot, the word value has a lot to do with it, right? Because people will spend the money if there's value. I remember this happened when I first started my automotive career with the Mercedes. The SLs came out, the hardtop SL, and they were 20, 30,000 over sticker back in 03. But
I said, do people remember that?
I don't know. It depends how old you are.
You have to remember that. No, but you have to know that this is not new.
Yeah. I just got out of college, but I was always a Mercedes and a car nut. But the people didn't care because they drove the car for a year and the dealer gave them back 95% or even 90% of what they paid, and they're fine. You know, people taking a little...
Is that what happened back then on those?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And then in like 05, when those cars started becoming 60 grand and people paid 120, that's when like the SL market went to crap. Because it's like, who's going to last? So it's the same thing with these new cars. I think people are starting to realize they're not going to get, why, it doesn't matter how rich you are. You're not going to go spend 180 grand on a Range Rover and in 3 years take back 40,000 for it. It's just, unless somebody's paying for it for you, you have no concept of money, it just becomes lunacy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's what's happening. We have people submitting Range Rovers to us with reserves that are 50, 60 over list, which is like 170 grand, which is, by the way, close to what they're selling for right now. Stickers 110. So it's a crazy thing. So I think that as long as the value's there, like GT3s is always a value, right? Certain cars, there's always a real value proposition, GT4s, stuff like that. Those cars won't really get affected, like you said, about bucking the trends.
Yeah,
which I guess segues into that conversation.
Yeah, and well, there you go. You're actually doing my segues now.
Oh my God, yeah.
Don't do my segues, okay? So here's a segue. Actually, it's perfect. So I was just about to segue into the segue.
You should have like a Segway icon that comes up now.
Well, isn't that like a my son?
Segway's
my son has
the
a
scooter
Segway.
thing.
Yeah, my son has a little.
They just came out with something.
Lamborghini?
No, the Segway just came out with something cool. I think it's either a go-kart or...
No, they have the go-kart.
Yeah.
They have the go-kart. My son has one. They just came out with a Lamborghini version of the Segway go-kart.
Really?
I'm going to put it up right here. It is freaking cool.
$500?
You can and you finance the other 4,000. Believe it or not, it's stupid. I mean, it's not cheap, but it's not like...
It's only $5,000? That sounds cheap for what it is.
You know what? Yeah. It's like 30. I think it was 3,900.
It's not bad.
Well, that's if you could find one, they're probably sold out.
Are they over list?
They probably are.
Okay.
They're probably. Good luck finding one. I don't even know. I'm going to go on after this, and I'm going to go see if I can find out what it's worth. But see, even listen. We sold a. What is that called? What's that car wheel?
Power Wheels?
The Power Wheels. The car was $400 new. Mm-hmm. One just sold on Pcarmarket for $1,800. It's a Power Wheels toy. Listen, you can't find them new. The thing is in a box. Mm-hmm. The gentleman wanted it for his son, and actually he sent a picture to the seller of that car in the living room. He was so happy to have it for his kid. It was very exciting. And you know what? So what? He spent 17.
Well, I think it's cheap for the first electric GT3. That thing could be worth $1 million.
The first electric GT. That's right. Everybody knows what we're talking about, the Power Wheels. If you go onto Pcarmarket, you can look at the sale of it. But it was very exciting. There was a bidding, there was a bidding war on the red.
He had a red GT3, the guy, right? That's perfect.
Yeah, and now his son has the matching car. Very cool stuff. But I'm just trying to show you supply and demand. right? If that car was still in the market, they were still building them, there was 900 of them in Toys R Us, that car's not selling for $1,700 or $1,800 or $1,900, right?
No, yeah.
So it's the same thing. It's the same thing. That's, you know, anyway, everybody knows that. So what it does is that what can we expect in the trends? So what bucks the trends? What bucks the trends? I have a couple of notes here that we talked about, you and I, last night. Special wishes builds. Right, the market could be weird and go up and down, but we all know that when you put something very special on here, whether it be a hot rod,
A unicorn,
a unicorn, or close to a unicorn, something very, very special. Limited production cars, the 4.0, the 50th anniversary, the 997 Speedster, the 997 GT2 RS, the 930, the 89 930, the 89 Turbo, the 930.
and even that you could, you know, dial down into that car, because then you could just have an 89 930 turbo, which is sought after. But then what if it's a slant nose, or what if it's a slant nose Targa, or a, I mean, then it's like really, really.
Yes,
you know.
and then you have the 959, and again, these cars have their own ecosystems. You know what I mean?
Yep.
They're not really going to be affected by what we talked about before. So you know, you can't sit here and say, "Well, the market of new cars are down, so this car's not worth what it." That's not the way it works. But I just want to bring up the RSs for a second, because there's a couple of other dynamics here, like. And you guys could chime in. I know I would love to get some feedback on this, but we have a 73 RS that we have probably over 10 years or more. It's an Italian touring version from Italy, I should say, a touring, and the car is tangerine, and we both know it's probably the greatest Porsche ever built, right? When you drove that car, well, I'll never forget it. I wish I had a video of it to show. I've never seen anyone's jaw drop when they got out of him. I'm telling you, Jim, I could see it right now. You were speechless. There was no acting. It was just like, what did I just drive? That's how amazing the 73 RS is, right? And the 73 RS took a dump, right? And it became worth half of what they were selling for. So what happened there? There was fake ones out there. People were just, there was re-stamp motors, and I think it became very, very hard to distinguish.
It gets confusing.
To most people, the 73 RS is impossible to buy, or it really is.
Yeah. The average person can't just go out and get the right one.
No,
you know what I mean?
No. And that's why, you know, we've even turned some down, you know, in the past because of some stories, right?
Yeah.
Right? So, like, once we start...
In fact, we know of one that the guy took back after owning for years.
We know one.
Yeah.
Jim, you just said it?
Yeah.
Had the car for 8 years, 9 years, was proud of it at every event. It was a lightweight. He was so excited. He was so proud of it. And then when he came to sell it, he found out it wasn't real.
Well, luckily, he was made right by somebody, right? He didn't get
something
screwed.
weird happened. Where because
it's a private situation. So
no, we're not going to get into details, but we're just trying to show you that.
Yeah.
That market, that was a perfect example of how weird that market. So 73 RSs, and I will tell you that, you know,
it's just like anything. You know, if people will go to the extent to make a copy of what used to be a $10,000 Rolex, now they're probably $50,000. But if people go to the extent for that, for $1 million car, you bet your ass people are gonna. Yeah,
there's a lot of scammers out there.
There's a lot.
But that caused that car to really suffer. You know, where touring was 7, 8, 900,000, and then it went down to I saw them selling for 300. You know what I mean?
But then that's what's nice about when you get to cars as rare as like the RS60. There's only 4 in the world, so no one's going to go make a fake because everyone knows where they are.
Well, that's a whole different ballgame. You look at an RS60 with again, there's 4. I mean, that's a whole different but there are Spider replicas, but they're
they're mainly 550s, which is nice.
Right, 550s, but it does make a difference. Even if they're 550s, you know it's a replica. Because it's a fiberglass body. It's built by someone as that.
Sure.
These are people that are putting cars out that are. Anyway, the bottom line is that these values of these cars, like 73 RSs, you know, have their own ecosystem. And then you look at even the 964s, right?
Yeah.
964s, you know, values are very odd because they are going to be affected, but as you distance yourself from the new car values, the ups and downs of the new car supply and demand values, you get down to a 964, it's kind of diluted a little bit. And then when you look at a 964, you look at what's happening there. It has its own ecosystem. It's that Singer and other builders are taking them and turning them into other cars. Yeah. So the quantity of cars that are even on the planet have been reduced, right? And then you look at the fact that is really the last Porsche that looks like an early 911. You know what I'm saying? And that affects the ecosystem of that car. That it's just gonna. I believe the 964 is probably the best value opportunity out there. And we'll talk about that real quickly, is what's undervalued. That's a strange car for me, but we'll get to that. The 996 GT3 RS. A 996 GT3 RS was really an ROW car, never came to the US, right?
That's right.
And they came with the white with the blue.
Or white with red.
The white with the red, and the car came into the U.S. and they were selling for like $4 and change, $5.
And mind you, they're still not old enough to come here. They had anything that's here is like a federalized car, so it's a big undertaking.
But they have a different federalization for that car. That's different.
Sure,
there was a special situation.
It took what, 7 months to get that car? So,
yeah. But the point is that car suffered in its value because people didn't understand what it was.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, a GT3, the first GT3 ever made, not available in the U.S., the RS, and now you could bring it in, and people were afraid. Like, what is this car? Like, why isn't that car worth $900,000? I mean, based on the world's crazy values, how is that car not worth?
You just hit the nail on the head, though. No one's out there, like, we're actually educating people on this right now. Nobody's out there telling people what that car is. So the only people that really know what it is are really people who live in or from Europe that maybe reside here, but they could have bought the car over there because a lot of them have homes there and stuff like that. Like, case in point, we know some clients that have Euro spec cars at their homes in Switzerland and Italy and stuff like that, and they still live here in California and New York. But yeah, I mean, so that's, nobody ever put up a sign here. Like, that car was never on the cover of Road and Track that I know of saying, wow, too bad we don't have this car. People don't know what it is.
Yeah, low production car, and also when I saw one sell at one of the on-site auctions years ago, and nobody knew what the hell it was.
Right.
And I'm looking at this thing, I'm looking at what it sold for. I'm like, holy crap! Yeah, I think there were a couple stories with that car, but still, it's just that. But so there's another ecosystem with a car that you really could buy at. By the time I speak this and it goes out to the world, that could change because there's not a whole lot of them for sale, and maybe the next sale is going to be 500,000 plus.
I think it's very possible.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and then you look at cars, but the 993 RS. A lot of people don't know the 993 RS. They made, I think, 1,100. They made less 993 RSs than they made 73 RSs. Okay, which was
astounding.
Which was just shy of 1,600, right? So it's astounding. Again, the 73 RS, best car Porsche ever made. The second best to me, the 4.0, the two greatest cars Porsche ever made. But, excuse me, the 993 RS, again, went down when the world. That was strictly in economics. That was strictly a result of the market in general, the downward pressure bringing the 993 RS. Now the 993 RS is back again, and it's going. So that's a car to me that even as pressure pushes down against the new car values and the used car values, that car is going to thrive.
See, that's where I kind of disagree. I just think what happens is, I think a really good example comes out and sells for a big number, and then all the subpar examples come out and sell cheaper. I mean, like we saw that Riviera Blue one sell on Amelia Island for like a lot of money, right? It was almost $700,000, high sixes. And then you get, like we've seen some in person, right? There was, silver one that was sold, for like low threes, had paintwork everywhere. And a lot of these cars that were tracked in Europe, and it was hidden because you can't do DMEs on those cars that you can on the new ones. So I just personally think like the right example will fare any market. Like that Riviera Blue one, what do you think that car ever got much cheaper than that? I mean, if it did, it's $550. It's never a cheap car, right?
One of the things that you and I have always said is that special cars that have no stories,
right,
that are coveted cars, that are the right color, are going to buck every trend.
Right, they're recession-proof.
So what don't you agree with?
Well, no, I'm just saying, I don't know if the RS market in general suffered. I just think that maybe we went through a period where there was just a bunch of sales on some cars that didn't warrant the kind of money. Well, I'm not saying you're 100% wrong. I'm saying that it's just a theory I have, because I saw a lot of them sell cheaper, but none of them were really like cars we'd want to own. Like case in point, when the GT2 RS market was suffering, I watched all those cars. They were tracked, they were hit, they blah, blah, blah. And then we scooped up the red one because it was like the best, and it kind of benefited.
Wait, which car was this?
The red one that we owned.
Which model?
The GT2 RS.
Oh, yeah.
I think that car only sold cheap because all the cars on the market were really bad cars. I mean, we did our homework on it. We watched one sell for $700,000, and all of a sudden there were 10, 15 of these things on the market. And then that red one came, and it was the right one.
Yeah, but that's my point. Yeah. That car went up $250,000. Mm-hmm. That perfect, beautiful example was down $250,000. So if you
had to sell it that day, I guess you're correct.
But. Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. The market even on great cars, that car had its own ecosystem, but it was also affected by the market. The market was down at that time. In fact, we bought that car from a big Porsche guy who wanted to offload it because he just knew it wasn't going to be worth it for a while. He didn't want to hang on to it. But we all know the reason we bought it. We said we know that car is going to be worth money. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, and there you go. So, but these are the things that are. So these provide opportunity. Those are opportunities to buy cars.
Right.
That's we know that. You know, that's why we bought that car, and we're a little bit more knowledgeable than most of the people that are just buying and selling cars in this area. I mean, we make mistakes and we don't know everything, and we learn from a lot of other people as well. But that was one of those things that we knew. But so there's a lot going on here. You know, we're bouncing around, but because again, simple. The new car values, that is going to affect the 991s, the 997s to a point, and as it goes down, it gets more diluted in how that affects it. But they're still being affected by the market.
Yeah, 997s are in a funny place because I think what you're saying is 100% right on like a cab. Yeah, I mean, because 997 cabs, they're like pleasure cars, weekend cars, but I think everyone knows like a stick, really good example, coupe 997. That car, I don't think is going to be affected by the new car price. I think those cars are like,
right.
With the next point, I think that's a very big value, that car.
Well, we do know this. There was a time when 993s were looked at as weird cars. We also are aware that 993s became beloved, and then they became something that I have to have. I think the 997, to your point, is still a super undervalued car.
Yeah.
A base 997, if you could buy, what could you buy a 997 Carrera for with 40,000 miles, roughly?
40 grand, like a .1, for 40 grand.
$40,000.
Yeah, we have one that just missed reserve yesterday, had less miles than that, and it's like under 50. It had like 20,000 miles, I think. Really nice.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Well, there you go. I'll put that up, and that's my point. But as time goes on, you look at a 993 value, and I know it's an air cooled, the less of the air cooled and so forth, but that 997 for what it means in the what do you call it? The chronological order of Porsche models is going to be an incredible value, a car with incredible value, and it's going to grow even more. Talking about that, we talk about cars that are actually undervalued. Right? And here is a perfect example of that. We talk about, besides the 928, I think we talked about this. The 928 is going to be a car that a lot of the younger people, when I say younger, people that are in their late 30s, 40, they love the 928.
Yeah.
And their earning years are now. And as time goes on, the nice examples are going to sell. And you already see that. I'm not like making this great prediction, but the 928s are already starting to come up for nice examples, and I think you're going to see a growing number of them hitting the market as the values become. See, the nice ones, there's not a whole lot of nice 928s for sale.
Right, and to most people, if you're a financially sound person and you have a nice one and it's worth 30 grand,
why are you selling it?
Right, you keep it. So that's why they, like you said.
Right.
Yeah.
So as the 928s become valuable and more restorations happen, because it's worth investing the money to restore the car, and some of the people that have it sitting there, right, they bought it for 18 grand or they bought it for 30. Now it's worth 100 or 90 or 80. I mean, you're going to see those come in there. So I think the 928s, if you can find a nice one, is a good value. Even me, I would love to have a nice 928. You know what I mean? I'm kind of, do I want a 78, an early one? Which Rich keeps telling me I should get, or should I get a more?
Yeah, I like the last ones.
Or go with right. They're
what's funny? There's something about a GT I like, even though GTS is the.
No,
I'm
with you.
Something about the GT I just love.
I'm with you, man.
Yeah.
A 928 GT, like 100%. I'm kind of over the GTS thing, although I think it's very freaking cool. But here's the thing: so you have that car, and then you have the 996. Okay, the 996. I mean, come on. You talk about a car. I want to show something. Here's a perfect example. John, if you could pop this up. Here's a 1999 996. This had 29,000 miles. Look at this car. Okay? How beautiful this car is. This car is really perfect, all right? And I want to get to it's just gorgeous. I mean, and now this car sells for how much, Jim?
36 and change.
$36,000. Well, he took a lot of pictures. I'm sorry. We go to
it's Kevin.
Yeah, this is a great seller. Obviously, that helped the situation. A lot of bidding, but you have this beautiful Boxster red interior. We actually had a silver Boxster red 993 C2S, which we loved. But look at this. Look at this car. If you don't think this car, if you had to make a prediction 5 years from now, what is this car worth? You could say this tape.
I don't know, at least 50 to 60, at least.
Well, if the mileage is the same, to me, this car's $80,000.
But it's possible.
Because of the color combination and because of the condition. So, at very least, who should be 100 people bidding on this car just to keep it and drive it and play with it for 2 years and sell it for $5,000 profit or more, or at least never lose.
But it's like
money.
I say, some people get fooled by price. Don't think because
you brought that up.
Yeah, don't think it's $36,000. It's not a great. Just because a new car is more money, it doesn't mean it's better.
You did bring that up, Jim.
Yeah. People really get fooled by price. They really do.
You absolutely brought that up.
Remember when no one wanted 964s?
I'm going to put this video on while we're doing that.
I remember being at this guy's car lot in Pennsylvania it was like 2010. He had a 964 cab, and someone backed into it. Just had like a cracked light and a little crack in the bumper, minor. He wanted $11,000 for the thing. And he was like begging me to buy it. He's like, I can't sell this thing, and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, it's funny. Well, you watching this story here. This car, again, you're right. This car is too cheap for a lot of...
it's too much car.
It's too cheap for a lot of people that have money.
Yeah. And more importantly, they're not making stuff like this anymore.
They're not making stuff like
this. There
this.
are people out there that would rather drive this than a brand new 911. If you weren't allowed to sell it and you were just going to be given one, I'm probably on the list. I would take this.
And it sounds great. Listen. 996s, man. I mean, listen, we're not fortune tellers here, and this car is obviously a great value. But what a beautiful, beautiful car. Look at that nice view. And it was quirky, right? It was really a quirky car with the styling. They were trying to be different, obviously, in many ways, with the headlights, the interior. Anyway, so that's a 996, great values. And then you have... Listen,
the SCs, right?
Listen, well, here's the thing. The SCs...
G-bodies in general.
The SCs, G-body. Well, SCs, for those of you that know, for those of you who don't, the G-body started in 74, and then through 77 was the narrow body.
Right.
Without being a Carrera, and then in 78 the SC went to 83, and then the Carrera started at 84. So, but the big thing is, I remember us sitting here talking about SCs, about great values, and what a great value the car is, and then that changed, right?
Well, it's still a good value. They're just not cheap anymore.
Well, they're not cheap anymore. Yeah. I mean, we were talking about when these were selling for $21,000, $23,000. A nice one was $35,000, right? Yes. Kind of like.
We were getting max money, like low 40s for a really nice one here when we had the dealership. Yeah.
And now you look at some of the results out there, and some of the.
They could touch 70. They could touch 65. Yeah.
I've seen 100.
Well, it's like you said yesterday. I won't steal your word. You said these are it's not a buy. It's not a sell. It's a.
You could steal my word.
It's a hold.
I charge you.
These have reached like a really reasonable, like digestible value. They're not overpriced.
No.
And they're certainly not a steal, but like you could justify writing a check for $60,000 for a car like this. Or,
look at this. Look at this beautiful car. Look at this beautiful.
Well, this one sold lower 50s. This one had some miles, but the color's fantastic on this. This would have been a $40,000 car probably with this mileage. This is red.
Minerva?
Yeah, Minerva. So nice.
So nice. Beautiful car. And here's the deal. What Jim was saying before is like the stock market. You could say it's a buy, a hold, or a sell. There was a buy on these cars, big time. And now we kind of call them like a hold, right? Because I don't believe these cars are going down.
Yeah.
But I do believe that these cars have upside.
Right.
Okay, maybe in the very, very near future, once this little cycle goes through. Listen, me the other day I say let's buy as many 964s as you possibly can.
Yep.
And then they took a little bit of a dip, right? But you know that the 964s are going to be worth buying a bunch of them now and selling them in a year from now if you have that type of stomach to do stuff like that. And if you do and they go down, don't blame me. Just words. But the SCs were like that. That was the type of car. And then, so this is one right here you're looking at that was sold on Pcar, right, Jim?
Yep.
and this car was sold for 55 all in, 56.
Yeah, and listen, it
was not. It was.
seat,
No,
yeah.
You see the seats and everything. Yeah.
So I'm saying it's a $60,000 car when it's all said and done. You put a couple of bucks into it.
Yeah, and you know something? If this car wasn't the color it was, it would have done 10,000 less.
Right.
Well, it would have done 5,000 less.
No, I think 10,000 less.
Yeah, it's amazing. Color. And then over here, you look at the.
This was a really nice SC. Yeah.
This car was actually in so you know.
Pre-auction.
Just so you know, everyone, just be aware of a little secret. Sometimes we'll put a car into Deal Tank Direct. Deal Tank is if a car doesn't sell, it's available to the public after the auction. And sometimes we put cars pre-auction in Deal Tank Direct. And not a lot of people know about that. Mm-hmm. But this car went to Deal Tank Direct and never made it to auction because somebody had to have it. And can you see why? Mm-hmm. Look at this freaking thing.
Well, it also had our favorite steering wheel for that period. It had the 930 sport wheel.
Come on, man. This is a seller.
Yeah.
You want to talk about tugging at the heartstrings of the American Porsche buyer or the worldwide Porsche buyer? Look at this thing. Mm-hmm. Come on. Stunning car. And is there a good video here or no?
I don't think so.
No, this is...
Looks like he's coming out of his closet. Oh, okay. There we go. All right.
Oh, boy. Okay, so...
I think you had one more G body there.
Yeah, hold on.
Actually, two more. Sorry, we have one live right now. That's important.
But the point is when you look at this car, this is a perfect example of the SCs and the Carreras. This is an SC.
Yep.
That were great buys. Mm-hmm. That this car sells for how much, Jim?
That sold for $70,000.
Okay, now a lot of people may look at this and say $70,000 is a lot of money. What the car? Yeah, so it's $69,500. So the car's like $73,000 all in. Now you could say, hey, that's a lot of money. Or you could look at it as like, what is a car like this in this condition, this mileage, going to be worth a few years from now?
Yeah.
When the 996s like this are going to be, $20,000 more than they are now.
It's also too. There's no two alike, and they all rate differently, and that's the biggest challenge, right? People see a car sell and they go, "Oh, I want that for my car." Well, of course you do, but how does yours stack up? Maybe yours is better. Maybe it's not. Who knows?
Yeah. It's amazing what a steering wheel and what color it does. All right, to your point, let me move on here.
That's a Carrera.
This is a Carrera that sold. Okay, those were SCs. Here's a Carrera. And, a lot of people, if you look at the Carrera has a 3.2 liter motor.
Yep.
And also, if you look at the front of a Carrera, you can sometimes take a quick look and see that the fog lights are integrated into the underneath there instead of coming from the bottom of the bumper on the SC. Just some little quick things to look at. But, again, beautiful car, nice presentation. This car sold for $63,000 all in, right? Mm-hmm. But a car like this 4 years ago, may have been worth $15,000 less, right?
Yeah.
I
think it was in the 40s, like you said.
In the 40s. But so there you go. There was great opportunities when things were high. Things were high.
Because this wasn't a G50.
And this was an opportunity when things were high.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It wasn't like this was like riding a wave.
But it's still not a bad price.
It's not a bad price.
This is still cheaper than a new base Boxster or Cayman.
Go figure.
So.
It's cheaper than a base. And man, oh man, it's a perfect example. We have somebody here. Some of you met him. You know him. His name is Dean, right?
If you were in line at the bathroom in Newport, you met Dean.
Okay. So point is that Dean has had some nice Porsches throughout the years. He bought a 964.
Yeah.
And he has a 996 turbo.
Yeah.
And he's
nice car. Both really nice cars. When he drives that 964, I can almost tell when he gets here in the morning which car he drove by the smile on his face. You know what I mean? It's like these cars, these SCs, these Carreras, the 964s, they're just so glorious to drive. And even a guy who was really not an early air-cooled guy, when he drives this car, he's like, I can't even tell you the feeling. The sound, the way you roll through the gears, the experience, the visceral experience. So that's why the values are there. You know. So besides, we could talk all day long, but there's a reason why these cars have these values. Yeah. They're so special. They're so special. Anyway, all right. Now this one's live. This is a top of the hill.
Yeah. Now buckle up for this one, right? Yeah. Buckle up for this one. A 26,000 mile 1989 Carrera. So you have the G50, although the G50s, so you know, the G50s came out in the turbos in '89, but they came out in the Carreras in '87, right?
Correct, yep.
Okay, at least in the U.S. I know we can debunk.
Yeah.
Somebody will debunk that, but in '87, and so this is a G50, 89.
Great
Carrera.
color, yeah. See, I'll just, even though this is live, I'll just say this car warrants 6 figures. This car is just, you know, the miles, it's the final year.
Look at
it's
that
got this
color.
interior, those sports seats. You know, people don't realize it. If you took those seats out of the car and sold them on Pcar, they're $7,000 to $10,000 for the sports seats. You know what I mean? And you know that.
Did you hear what Jim just said?
Yep.
These sports seats alone, if you sold them, for $7,000 to $10,000. Look at this, Jim, John. Look at that seat. You want to sit in that seat? I want to just sit there and do work. I could just actually grab my laptop in there and do work in there. That's how comfortable they are. Look at that. What a beautiful car.
Original block punk. That's a nice car, man.
It's a nice car.
That's a put-away car.
Yeah, this is a car you buy, you enjoy. I mean, you could drive this car and
you can
just take care of it, and it'll pay you.
And they
back.
don't come up like this too much. You know, a lot of these cars, these were just really.
Look at this.
These were very used. These cars.
Look, now how many cars can look this good in a freaking parking lot? Right? Mm-hmm. With cracked asphalt and beautiful
great color combination.
Minivans in the background. Look at that.
Anyway, that's the one to own, guys. That's the one to own.
Beautiful car. Anyway, we have
228 pictures too. So
yeah, nice presentation as well.
That's
Beautiful car. So that's what's happening with some opportunities here in the G body world. Then we have over here. We're going to bounce over to the Ferrari world for 1 minute here, just to talk about also how values have changed. This is a 355. Right, a 1997 355 GTS. You know, you have the Berlinetta, you have the GTS, you have the Cabriolet or the Spider.
Right.
This over here.
This would have been a $150,000 car a year and a half, 2 years ago.
Look at we just got one. For full disclosure, why we're in love with these is we just got a yellow coupe.
Berlinetta.
Berlinetta. And this is a very special car. You always said that, hey, this and the 993 were out at the same time. And I actually have a picture I'm going to put up with the 993 and the F355 next to it. You can see how different they look.
Yeah.
The sizes. Take a look at this thing. And this particular one here sold for $260,000. Now, this was at the height, right? You would say.
I think this is where GTSs are right now.
Yeah, this is pretty much where they are. Right?
And they seem to be getting a lot of buzz. And I have a theory. I don't think these are done going up yet. I really don't. No, I mean short term. We know long term they'll be, but I'm saying I think there's still. I think these will start pushing over 3 for the right ones. Because remember, I'm going to talk bad about Ferrari for a second. These cars are not durable like Porsche. To find one that is this nice. You know, everything comes unglued in the car and all this type of stuff. When you find them like this, people will pay because a lot of these cars are rough.
That's true.
Yeah.
And when you do find a nice one, it's
look at that car.
You have to make sure that what you're buying as well. Mm-hmm. It's different than buying.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong. If you take care of it, it's a great car. But you know, when people bought these new and had them down in Miami, left them out in the sun for 5 years straight, and I mean, they just get destroyed.
Yeah.
I mean, but if you garage it and you take care of it and you detail it, the car will last.
Right. And on the other side of it, though, cars such as Porsche, such as some of the early BMWs, when a car has a monster fun factor, right, and it's a real joy to drive and very special, and that view from your seat is just so freaking cool.
Yeah.
Like this car is.
Yeah, that's something you can't really describe.
You can't describe. This car has a view.
The dashboard's like pushed away. It's very, very
and
nice,
those gauges, those freaking gauges, it's just unbelievable. So the point is that there's a true value in fun factor and looks and experience, besides the investment part of it. There's a reason why cars hold and go up in value. This car is a real driver enthusiast vehicle.
Yes, but the reason we're mentioning it, because it's really not undervalued right now. This went up a lot, but the Spider version, they're cheap, in my opinion. So, if this is $250 and you could buy a okay Spider for $80 and a really nice one for $120, that's a value.
Yeah.
It's the same exact car, and some people it may be more valuable. I personally understand why this is $250,000 with the Targa top, and this is the right one to have. Yeah. But there's a valid argument for why some people may want the Spider, and budget-wise, it makes all the sense in the world to go for a Spider.
Yeah, so the reason we're bringing this car up is here's a car that has found, and one of the things to your point that you said you said to me many times is when this car was cheap, it was not on the radar of a lot of collectors and a lot of enthusiasts.
Right.
And
now people go, oh, $250, I got to get
I got to get one of these.
Meanwhile, you could have had one for the past 15 years.
You could have had one of these. You could have bought it for half the price. And that's why you got to keep in tune with shows like this that talk about these opportunities. And also is get out of your comfort zone. I don't give a crap if you're a billionaire or you're putting your nickels and dimes together to buy a dream car. There are some cars here that may be good opportunities that are everybody in the world wants one of these now.
That's why, man, if you could just be honest with what you like, you'll be in good shape. You know
just be yourself.
Yeah, be yourself. That's it.
Yeah, right? Okay. Let's talk about BMW for a moment, okay? We're going to take a look at the...
These are a value.
This is E36?
And by the way, this is me just being a friend to all of our audience and our clients. Because I want to buy as many of these as I could find, and I kind of am, right? And you know what I mean? So I don't want the secret to get out, but I like to share advice. These cars, if you've driven this car and you're a Porsche guy and you look at what this car costs, it's absolutely a joke. It's a joke.
Did you hear what Jim is saying to you?
Yeah.
He's buying everyone he possibly can. This is Jim. No. This is not Jim.
I look a little older in the morning.
Very, very, very special car. So, the point is there are opportunities out there, and they're not just in the Porsche world.
Yeah.
They're also driver cars, fun, exciting, that are, here's the problem though. The young people, when I say young people, including a lot of our staff here, and I'm saying we have probably at least 4 or 5 guys that work for us that are monster BMW guys, right?
Yeah.
And, they, even more than Porsche, we know a lot of the future of our company is going to be selling a lot of E36s, E92s, E30s.
Well, those are already expensive, but yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. They are expensive. But we're talking about...
But that's what's fun about those cars, though, too. You could buy a 325i and hot rod it. You know what I mean? And then it's not that expensive.
See this?
This car and the next car, the reason we brought them up is, this sold for $60,000 because the mileage, the color, and the sunroof delete. So it's kind of like very similar to Porsche, right? Those are things that would drive the value on a Porsche. If you look at the next car that sold in the 20s, how similar it is. And driving experience is exactly the same motor, everything.
Yeah, take a look at
that. That's where the value is in these cars. So the guy who bought this car is a guy that kind of agrees with my philosophy. I know this because I spoke to him. The guy who bought the $60,000 one, he thinks he has E30s. He's actually an older gentleman. And he said the same thing. He goes, these cars are just too cheap for what they are. And he bought what he felt was the best on the market at the time, paid a reasonable price to get it. No one was going to get that car any cheaper. The seller had a pretty big collection on that car. And the guy who represented it is like first class. You could see the presentation he did.
What, this car?
No, the other one. This one too. The other car was...
This is not a good presentation.
Yeah. No, the other one was Roy. Roy is fantastic.
Yeah. I don't want anyone thinking that we believe this is a good presentation. This is actually a horrible presentation.
The other one was great.
Yeah, this car, this is how you leave money on the table.
Yeah, this car, by the way, full disclosure, this car, exactly what you said, if it was done a little better, probably could have bought a few more bucks.
It's absolutely.
But still, even at 30, this is a great buy, this car.
Yeah, great values. But the point is I'm going to say this again. You all ready for this? Mm-hmm. Pictures and words sell your car. If you don't do the right pictures, you leave money on the table, okay? The presentation, we take care of writing it. We're doing everything we can to give you the best. When you're taking pictures of the interior, close the other side of the other door. Don't ever leave the door open so you see through to the concrete, right?
Yep.
Take lower profile beauty shots. Watch what's in the background. Give us good photos. If not, we have a network of national photographers that will help. And we are 100% on board with helping you with the best presentation. So please understand what photos. Yep. This is a perfect example of leaving money on the table, okay? And listen, a lot of what's funny is some buyers won't buy the car and won't bid on it because the photos are not good enough.
That's right.
But some other people are bidding on it knowing the car's probably nicer than the photos depict. So you have kind of like a little thing over there of some of the buyers want crappy pictures.
Yeah. The bottom line is because if you're not pulling on the heartstrings of the bidders, you're leaving money.
Come on, man. Let's get it together.
Yep.
So
So
Look at that.
E36s.
Look at the wheel. It's blown out. It looks white. Yeah, this is just
and even the E46s, for that matter. I think you have one up there. They're another. So this is just, this is that car on steroids.
Beautiful.
So in a way, it's 100 horsepower.
This may be one of the most beautiful cars that
Yeah.
BMW ever made. I mean,
It's a great car.
BMW's made some winners.
Yeah.
One thing about BMW, their stance is unmatched.
Yep.
Their seats are probably one of the best seats in the entire market.
Yep.
You look at the 507, the Z8, the E3, the 3.0 CS from the 70s. They have always made beautiful cars, and this is no exception. Look how gorgeous.
And this is a car you could still daily drive.
To me, it's all about proportions.
It's a great car.
Oh, look at this. This really
Serious
stunning car.
So again, this is a whole podcast. These cars you could buy them for 20, you could buy them for 80. You know what I mean? But they're great cars, and you have to dissect them. You know what I mean? And figure out what kind of example you want. But
see, these are nice sets of pictures. This is the way you're showing a little bit of the imperfections. Anyway, all right. So BMW, great opportunities there. Sorry, Porsche guys and gals, but there's some value there. And also, listen, we have all these Porsche people that we know. They also love BMW.
Yep.
Not the brand new ones necessarily. I think design-wise, BMW is a lot to be desired with the new cars.
I think their electric cars are fantastic.
Well,
you know what I mean? But that's where everyone's going. But they have, we had a couple of the i3s here, and the technology was great, and never had a problem with them. And now they got that 7 Series. They have a couple SUVs. They have a 4 Series. And, if you're looking for an EV, I trust the brand because, like I said, we've owned them since 2014, and they got that down, I think, So
yeah.
I'm excited to drive that i7.
Yeah,
James
definitely.
asked us to come over and drive it. So
no, that's a whole other segment. So basically, real quickly here, hot rods. We don't want to get into hot rods right now. We've sold many hot rods. We did the show last time, which kind of nailed the value tree, if you will, for these cars. Listen to it. It's the one right before this. Stay tuned. We have some really cool hot rods, backdates, resto mods, whatever you want to call them. Everyone has different names in the Porsche world that you definitely want to stay tuned for. And and they are here. Here you go. Take a look at some of the ones that are one of our favorites that we have sold over the years. And you can see some of these. There's Singers. There's the gentleman in Naples. What's his name? The gentleman I visited.
Tim Olson.
Tim Olson.
Yeah.
Zerlinden.
You're turning him into a movie character.
Terrific guy and a great builder. The gentleman, the GS manufacturer.
Yeah, that was great. They came to us from Germany. Spectacular car.
I mean, look at these things, just absolutely stunning. Anyway, so there's keep in tune with that. We'll do another segment on hot rods as they continue to become very prevalent and important in the Porsche market. Okay, then Jim, we wanted to touch base on this, right? I know we did it at the beginning. We'll finish
we kind
here.
of did. Yeah.
You want to go through this, or you want to stop?
Yeah, we can. I mean, listen. I think everyone gets the gist.
You get the gist. He has 102,000 miles for a Bronco. What did this car list for?
$76,000.
$76,000 this car.
Now, mind you, 3 short months ago, there were sales as high as 130 on our site. Bring a trailer, 120, 115, 110. So you see the trend, right?
Yeah,
so still over sticker.
Yeah. So watch the new car values and see what they're selling over sticker. That gives you a good idea of what's happening in the used car market as well. And then you have cars like this here. All right. Mm-hmm. This is a beautiful GT3 991.2.
By the way, this is a real car guy. This seller, he's a dealer.
Yeah.
But he understands the business. And it's sad to say some dealers don't.
Yeah.
He didn't want to sell this for this price, but he sees that they're not crashing, but they're correcting. This was $210,000 6 months ago, this car. Yeah, I mean, or 200,
So it was 200,000 6 months. Now it sells for 181. So it's down.
And I think he lost money on it, but that's he realizes probably a little less pain selling it now than in February,
Yeah.
But
very pretty.
Yeah.
I'll tell you.
By the way, it's still over original sticker.
Yeah, it's still a lot of money.
Yeah.
So you got to remember, it's still a lot of money, but it's adjusting. And this is God's red.
Mm-hmm. Man, and this is where if you're a buyer in this arena here, because people are buying cars to use them, not to be dealers. Yeah. If you're a buyer here, and the market continues to slide a little bit, this is never going to be a $90,000 car. So it's like your loss is mitigated. Paying over $2 for a PDK 991.2 GT3 is kind of like a little overkill for me. But this is a comfortable area. If they adjust to 150 or 170 or whatever, it's not a terrible thing to own a car.
That's true too. It's still better.
It's got to cost something.
Yeah. Yeah, well, a lot of the buyers today don't want them to cost anything. They want it to be
I know.
profitable.
Listen, I wish,
Okay, so, and then we can finish up here. Here's a car that was crazy 5-6 months ago. And
350, 320. Now they're under 3. This was a good sale. My hunch is because he announced the reserve was off at 250 and people woke up. I believe that. And this is one of our favorite sellers. I mean, he's a true Porsche collector, and this was actually his dad's car.
Wow.
So yeah, he wasn't a flipper. Everyone, his dad just unfortunately had a little problem with his leg and couldn't drive the manual. Medical issue. Super nice guy. I spoke to him, so they sold the car. And Mitch has his own touring, so this was his dad's, and they sold it. But they got it at the right time, and someone got a nice car and didn't have to wait. So
there you go.
There's value in that.
And these are down a good 10% now.
Yeah, I think they're worth more than 250, but I don't think they're worth 300 anymore. So,
all right, so the market's adjusting. So, there you have it. All right.
There you have it.
We want to keep this palatable and
Happy
short.
New Year.
Happy New Year. Happy New Year to everyone, from our staff and our team to all of you. And again, we know that you could spend your time watching anything on YouTube, and the fact that you take some time to watch our show is we are really. We really appreciate that.
Yeah.
So share it, like it. We're going to, again, really try to do more episodes and more often than we have been because I know that the people that do watch it want more. The people that don't, go screw yourself. No, I'm just kidding. Should I cut that out?
No.
Okay. Thank you all for watching. We'll see you soon.
Thank you.